Unbelievable is how one rescue official described the downtown area of Elba, which at one point was under an estimated 15 to 20 feet of water. Water that came rushing into the small rural town after an overflowing Pea River jumped its banks and burst through the town levee.
I've been in Pea River. I've been in all the lakes around here. But driving my boat up and down the streets, it's just weird. I've never dreamed of it.
County officials say more than 3,000 people have been forced to leave their homes, hundreds of whom were evacuated by boat after the high waters snuck up on them.
Well, in fact, it slipped up over me. I knew it was rough, you know, but I didn't know it was as bad as it was.
Were you scared, or
No.
was it rushing in your house? Or?
No, we just all got out right quick and left.
Emergency shelters have been set up in a local church in Elba, as well as in the towns of Opp and Brantley. But rescue officials say most of the evacuees are apparently staying with friends and relatives until the water recedes. The lucky ones were able to leave with some of their belongings, while others say they were lucky to leave at all.
I feel lucky to be alive. Sure do. Sure do. And we went back down there just then, but you can't get in to see. So, it's just one thing in a lifetime.
With the local phone company underwater, rescue officials are having to rely on emergency radios as their only source of communication. And to make matters worse, electricity is still out for much of the Elba area. Still, the local sheriff says optimistically the town of Elba will recover from the multi-million-dollar damage, just as it did from a similar devastating flood in 1929.
I'm born and raised in Elba, and I've seen a lot of floods, but I've never seen one like this. This is the biggest flood in my 38 years that I've ever seen. It's bigger than the flood we had back in '75 that I remember very vividly. The main thing we really want to ask people to do is, if you've got kinfolks here in Elba, don't try to come to Elba. Don't be sightseeing. We've got all the problems we can handle without having problems with crowds.
Parts of Elba, Alabama had to be evacuated when a levee broke. It flooded much of the downtown business district.
We think that with what we're seeing so far, that we will ask for a presidential disaster declaration.
A day and night of nonstop rain turned the already saturated ground into a marsh.
Several days of steady downpour. Flood waters are still very high. At least 7 people were killed in the raging waters. An earthen levee burst near Elba, Alabama yesterday, multiplying the water in an already flooded town. 1,500 people fled the rising floodwaters, and the Red Cross sent in emergency workers. Alabama's governor may declare the town a disaster area and seek federal assistance.
Havoc in the south. In Elba, Alabama, the heavy rains broke open a levee, submerging entire homes in muddy water. 1,500 people fled, and the Red Cross is trying to send in rescuers. Officials say they will ask for disaster relief. From a weekend of deadly floodwaters. Up to 17 inches of rain brought havoc to several states. A levee burst on a river near Elba, Alabama yesterday, flooding the town and forcing as many as 1,000 people to evacuate. Just to the south, 6 people died Friday when their car ran off a road and into a raging creek. Officials are seeking federal help.
We will be asking the governor to declare the area a state of emergency so that we can provide the services that are necessary to the citizens of Elba, Coffee County, and Geneva and around. We think that with what we're seeing so far, that we will ask for a presidential disaster declaration.
Unleashing enough water to completely submerge some homes in much of the town. Authorities say 1,500 people fled. State officials say they'll ask for state and federal aid.
Recede today, an earthen levee burst there yesterday, sending a huge wave of water over the town. It had already half drowned by a deluge of rain. 16 inches of rain fell in just 2 days. 1,500 people fled the rising floodwaters, and they're trying to salvage some of their belongings today. Alabama's governor may declare the town a disaster area and seek federal assistance. Well, the only good news out of all of this is that it is drying out, and perhaps it will be for the next 3 or 4 days in the southeastern part of the United States. All kinds of rain and all kinds of flooding.
Especially hard hit, southern Alabama. Hundreds of people had to flee their homes in Elba after a dam burst, flooding downtown streets, submerging a school, and filling a courthouse. South of Elba, 6 people drowned when they tried to drive their van across a washed-out bridge and plunged into a swollen creek. The storm then swept into northwest Georgia.
even see what they have lost.
My whole family was totally wiped out as far as personal things. We've got each other, and that's what's important is the family. Personal things can be replaced, so we'll come back. Elba's a strong community, and the people in Elba survive, and we just need y'all's prayers.